Hey everyone, I'm Andy, and welcome to this week's Team Kentucky Update. This week we'll start where we always start, with great economic development news. Since I've become governor, we've now announced more than 1,100 new location and expansion projects totaling over $35 billion of private sector investment. Even more important, we've crossed a major milestone of having created more than 60,000 new Kentucky jobs. We're now at 60,300. And we have some great companies hitting those milestones along with us. On Monday, I joined local officials in Owensboro and leaders from MizCon America to break ground on the company's $156 million expansion, which will create 44 new Kentucky jobs. MizCon is a Japanese-owned international food manufacturer that has operations in Owensboro since 1975, as well as a warehouse in Shively. And these 44 new jobs will join MizCon's current workforce of 425 Kentuckians. Already, the Owensboro facility produces about 1 million jars of ragu pasta sauce every day. This expansion, once it's complete, will allow Kentucky workers to make even more of MizCon's delicious pasta sauces and other vinegar-based products in an expanded state-of-the-art facility. When companies like MizCon America choose to invest and reinvest in our communities and in the Commonwealth, good things happen. I was honored to be there to help celebrate this groundbreaking. Remember, the announcement's the hope, the groundbreaking's the progress. I really look forward to the ribbon cutting when we know there'll be 44 new Kentucky jobs, as well as a lot more sauce being produced in Owensboro. Next, we're announcing funding for 5 projects to improve communities across Kentucky. First up, we have an announcement for Wayne County. We're committing $750,000 from our Community Development Block Grant Program to renovate a senior center in Monticello. We have a video from Wayne County Judge Executive Scott Gehring.
Judge Executive, just want to say thank you on behalf of myself, the citizens of Wayne County and the Wayne County Physical Court for this amazing grant. I want to thank Governor Beshear and his staff, Secretary Knoll and his staff, Lindsay and the staff at the Lake Cumberland Area Development District for making this grant possible. This is much needed for Wayne County. Our senior citizen center is used daily, and this is just
Okay, we're also announcing $750,000 to Bourbon County to renovate a vacant building in Millersburg, $750,000 to the city of Murray to renovate the Weeks Senior Center, $750,000 to Hickman County to renovate a senior citizen center in Clinton, and $750,000 to the city of Somerset to relocate God's Pantry of Pulaski County to a larger facility. These are projects that lift our people up. Senior centers and food pantries are so important to the communities that they are in. All these projects will be listed in today's release, and all of them will move these individual communities forward in a positive way. I'm also excited to announce another round of Team Kentucky investments to strengthen our state's infrastructure and fuel economic growth. Nearly $1.5 million will support 6 Riverport projects across the Commonwealth, each one critical to our economy. Projects include new material handling equipment, conveyors, crane buckets, and more for Henderson County, Eddyville, Hickman, Fulton County, Owensboro, and Paducah, McCracken County Riverport authorities. By making these investments, we're not just improving service capabilities for existing industry, we're also creating opportunities to attract new business and new jobs. When companies see a state committed to strong infrastructure, they choose to invest here, bringing even more growth to our communities. I want to take a quick moment to acknowledge one of our grant recipients, Eddyville Riverport and Industrial Development Authority. Along with funding from the first round, they are receiving more than $515,000 that'll help with to increase their barge storage capacity from 12 to 18. So we have a video from Amanda Davenport, Executive Director of Eddyville Riverport and Industrial Development Authority, who's going to share a few words about the importance of this project.
I'm Amanda Davenport, the Executive Director of the Eddyville Riverport, and this is a big thank you to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for administering the Riverport Construction and Maintenance Grant Program. This grant program will allow riverports all across the state to expand their operations and their capacity. In Eddyville, we received $1.2 million to construct dolphins. Dolphins are essentially very large docks that barges can tie to. This matters to our port because it allows us to continue to grow alongside our customers. Our customers at the port primarily serve the agriculture industry, and ag is strong in Kentucky. Thank you to everybody that was involved in creating this grant program. Without these funds, our riverport would not be able to grow and continue to serve our customers in the way that we need to. Thanks to this program, Eddyville Riverport will expand alongside the needs of all of their tenants for many years to come.
Well, thank you to Amanda and everyone working at those riverports. Congratulations on the new investments. I also want to provide an update on our continuing efforts to help folks affected by widespread flooding from a deadly storm system back in February. This is the one that had the flash floods, then the riverbank floods, then the snowstorm, and then the dangerous cold that swept through our state. The Team Kentucky Storm Relief Fund has now raised over $880,000 from 3,851 donors. This includes $70,000 from 2 individual donors. We're grateful to them. It includes a $50,000 donation from the Outlaw State of Kind Foundation. That's Chris and Morgan Stapleton's charitable fund that supports a variety of causes closest to their hearts. It includes $30,000 from Jim Beam, $25,000 from the Atlanta Jewish Foundation in the name of Mr. and Mrs. Robert Lee of Hebron, and $10,000 from the Jack Harlow Foundation. Thank you to everyone who's able to donate both small and large amounts. It all makes a difference. The money is currently assisting to pay for funerals for our families that lost a loved one. The first thing we always do is we grieve together. And I've heard firsthand having these funds available so that the family doesn't have to carry that burden and what it means in times of great difficulty. To donate, you can visit our neky.gov website and click on the banner at the top, or go to teamkystormrelieffund.ky.gov. FEMA report. As of March 17th, FEMA has approved more than $22 million in housing and other types of assistance to more than 3,800 Kentucky households. More applications are being processed daily, and it's going a lot smoother, the FEMA individual assistance, than it did in 2022. So grateful to them. Secretary Noem, President Trump, who authorized this individual assistance. Their FEMA workers are doing a great job in Kentucky. There are currently 13 disaster relief centers. We're going to put them up. Remember, these are places you can go to discuss your FEMA claim, to apply for a small business loan, or to meet your other needs. 16, now the largest number we've had. The information is subject to change, and we update our website as it does. That website is governor.ky.gov/flood-resources. Disaster unemployment assistance. On Monday, we announced that disaster unemployment assistance is now available to 2 additional counties. Those are Leslie and Woodford counties. That's available to folks who are out of work due to the mid-February storms. Now we're up to 16 counties eligible for disaster unemployment assistance. These counties are on the screen. If you live in any of these 16 counties and believe you're eligible for disaster unemployment assistance, please visit the Kentucky Career Center website at kcc.ky.gov, or you can call 502-564-2900 to file your initial claim. Most important piece today is the deadline. The deadline to apply for disaster unemployment assistance is April 25th, 2025. If you need it, if you qualify for it, make sure you get it in before that date. The Small Business Administration announced today that additional counties have been approved for disaster assistance loans. Counties eligible for both physical damage and economic injury loans are on this screen. And then there are counties eligible for economic injury only which have now been put up on the screen. So a number of different counties. It shows how widespread the damage was. Certainly some counties receiving more than others, but significant damage across the Commonwealth. I mean, if you look here, you can see not only counties in the east, but in southern Kentucky and central Kentucky. A lot of damage occurred out there, and we want to make sure as many people can get the help as needed. Applications for disaster loans may be submitted online using the My SBA Loan portal at lending.sba.gov, or you can visit one of those disaster or business recovery centers. Filing deadline here is the same, April 25th, 2025. Except that is for the physical property damage. The deadline for economic injury is November 24th, 2025. Kentucky state parks are currently sheltering 215 people at 5 state parks. So thank you to the staff at Buckhorn Lake Park, Cumberland Falls State Park, Jenny Wiley State Park, Natural Bridge, and Pine Mountain. Kentucky State Parks Campgrounds, our travel trailer program, is now up to 77 people being sheltered. That is 44 adults and 33 children. They are all at Jenny Wiley State Park. We're encouraging all flood survivors to go to housingcan'twait.org to create a needs assessment. If you go to that and fill it out, a representative from FAHI will call and will talk to you about whether you might qualify for any of the houses that we are building in our high ground sites across eastern Kentucky. Next, we have an update on what Team Kentucky is doing to help protect Kentuckians from scams. This has been a long-term mission for me. When I was Attorney General, I made it a priority to ensure our most vulnerable, especially our seniors and veterans, were protected from scams. Through our work, we returned over $1 million to victims of scam or financial abuse. These scammers work to ruin lives and destroy life savings, and so I remain committed to making sure we protect as many Kentuckians as possible. To help make sure everyone is up to date on how to avoid the latest scams, we invite Kentuckians to our Department of Financial Institutions and other local partners like AARP Kentucky to one of our upcoming scam jams. Topics will include information on what resources are available to help those that have already been victimized and how to prevent being victimized. We also have free secure document shredding for those who attend. Last year, Team Kentucky educated over 500 Kentuckians about how not to fall for a scam. Remember, the best thing we can do is to prevent it from ever happening. It's really hard to get that money back once it's been paid. The times we've been able to do it, returning those dollars have been something pretty special. But we want to make sure that no one loses their life savings to one of these scams. This year, 4 events have currently been scheduled. That's April 11th. That'll be the Northern Kentucky Scam Jam and Shredding. The June 4th, Lexington Scam Jam. The June 5th, 2025 Summer Scam Jam. That is in Jeffersontown. And the June 12th, Paducah Scam Jam and Shredding. Learn more about how to avoid scams and find out about scam jams at kfi.ky.gov. Now, for our Team Kentucky All-Stars, because we're moving fast today. The greatest tradition in college sports, the kickoff to March Madness and the NCAA basketball tournament is finally here. This year, Kentucky has 5 incredible schools playing in the tournament. Representing the men's side, we have the University of Kentucky, a 3 seed led by new head coach Mark Pope, and the University of Louisville, an 8 seed, though they do get to play in Lexington, led by first-year head coach Pat Kelsey. Congratulations to both these new coaches in their first year making the tournament. We're really proud of both of them. They are both really good human beings trying to do good things for those students and for the Commonwealth. On the women's side, we have the University of Kentucky, a 4 seed led by first-year head coach Kenny Brooks. The University of Louisville, a 7 seed led by head coach Jeff Walls, who's been an amazing coach there for a number of years. And Murray State University, an 11 seed led by head coach Rochelle Turner. Kentucky will also be welcoming basketball fans from across the world to our new Kentucky home at Rupp Arena and the historic Memorial Coliseum, where Lexington will play host as a host city for both the men's and the women's first and second round games. It's been a historic year for basketball in the Commonwealth. So to all the players, coaches, managers, and staff who made this moment possible, congratulations. You are all this week's Team Kentucky All-Stars. And now I know a lot of y'all are out there today. If you didn't have to do the play-in, trying to fill out your bracket. And you're trying to figure out what are the best strategies to fill out the bracket. Well, today we're bringing you just a little bit of help. It is 2025 March Madness, and suddenly everybody is a college basketball expert. But we have devised the most foolproof way to win every office pool.
To let Winnie do it, of course.
We're gonna let Winnie pick them. You ready?
Let's go.
Here we go.
Oh,
Oh, who we got?
good girl. Michigan,
Illinois,
UCLA.
Marquette,
Heard it here first, folks.
Texas Tech,
Kansas. Oh, Montana. Anything can happen in March Madness. St. John's.
let's see, Louisville, Creighton, Kentucky, Troy. Nope, can't be doing that. I guess this didn't work out how we thought, but I'm pretty positive that Winnie believes the winner of March Madness is Mama.
Is that right? Your mama win March Madness.
Or you could pay attention to Dad.
You eat them. Oh, you eat up Mama the post.
I told him this wouldn't work. He never listens to me.
So a little humor as we move into March Madness. I'm sorry that Winnie could not give us actual tips, but I'm sure everybody out there will get their bracket filled out. All right, we have one journalist in studio and two on the line. So we are right now, I think, about to set a world record for the amount of time it's taken us to get through a Team Kentucky update. So we'll start with Carolina.
Since we have some time, I have two topics.
Okay.
ICE has reported that he's arrested 81 people in Kentucky during recent removal operations, and of course this has caused some fear in Kentucky's immigrant communities. What are your thoughts on what ICE is doing, and then also, is Kentucky State Police assisting them in any way?
And the second?
And then there are many bills on your desk, of course. Last week I asked you about the abortion clarification bill. You said you had questions when it came to that bill. Planned Parenthood is now asking you to veto it. They're saying that it could potentially harm women more. Have you gotten any clarification on that bill, and do you know how you're going to act when it comes to it?
So on the first question, we have not been contacted in the governor's office, nor has the Kentucky State Police from ICE on any alleged raid. I hope that the people of Kentucky out there believe that the rule of law will and does apply to them, and that anybody who is in this country and in this state legally will not and should not be persecuted in any way. We will evaluate any requests that comes from ICE as it comes to us, but the scenarios can be so different depending on what people throw out there. On the other bill, we're still analyzing it. And in fact, I'm even looking back on testimony when the trigger law passed about claims that were made then about that law still protecting the life of the mother. And so the need for this clarification, I'm trying to figure out, because if the trigger law, when passed, protected the life of the mother, this bill could be read as being more restrictive than what is currently out there. Some concerns when you go in there that a doctor might have to wait until a woman goes into sepsis to act. And certainly you shouldn't require someone in the hospital to reach that point if their life is in danger. So still reviewing it, should have a decision likely early next week, but I have serious concerns that it not only lessens access, but it may make it more dangerous for an individual that whose life may be on the line. And it also may create a different legal standard for doctors that give them less judgment in their medical judgment about when to act to protect the life of a mother. All right, with that, we'll go to Tom Latek from Kentucky Today.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon to you. I'm going to have to watch the replay of this so I can see who Winnie picked there for the tournament. Are there any bills that you do plan on vetoing at this phase? I know you still have a few days left before you've got to take action one way or the other, but I just wondered if you had any that you were looking at that you were going to be planning on vetoing.
Well, we'll have one veto that will come out today, and it's a bill that would allow employees of the Department of Agriculture to apply for and receive loans from the Department of Agriculture. And I don't think this was pushed by the commissioner in any way. We've got a good working relationship, but this has always been viewed as unethical and unlawful. The executive branch ethics code, which is in statute, says an executive branch employee cannot apply for a benefit or a loan or a grant from a department or an agency that they work in. And that applies to every executive branch agency. And now there's this bill that says, yes, but if you work in the Department of Agriculture, you can apply for a grant or a loan from the same Department of Agriculture, from the person who works down the hall from you. Or, because, Tom, it's not worded in a way that prevents it, the person down the hall who decides who gets the loans or the grants from the Department of Agriculture can apply for a loan or grant that would come across their desk. So this isn't, to me, about that department at all. It's about no one should be able to work in an agency and then apply directly to that agency for a loan or a grant from it. In the end, I believe it's unfair to farmers that don't work for the Department of Agriculture, that they are going to have to compete with someone else who's applied for the same loan and works next to the person who's going to determine it. So I just, the last piece of it that concerns me is this has been not only unethical under the statute, there are two opinions that have come out in the last several years, and it says you can't do this. Well, this bill tries to be retroactive and to say for the last 2 years, if you've done something that has been unethical and there have been opinions that are out there that says it's unethical, it's okay that you did it. I mean, I think right's right, wrong's wrong. The same rules should apply across the board. Again, I think that the Department of Agriculture is doing a good job. I think the commissioner's doing a good job. We all work well together. This bill for me is just about not chipping away at a basic ethics rule that applies to all parts and all agencies and all departments. And I say all that, admitting that I think the votes were Democrats and Republicans voting for it, but I don't think they ever got into why it was being offered. I don't think they got any comparison with any other agency that's out there. And I don't think they saw two ethics opinions saying, no, this is an easy call. You absolutely can't do this. Last thing is, I don't think they thought about the other farmers who don't work for the department that would have to compete with ones that do. Now, I did sign House Joint Resolution today that provides $5 million to that same department that was withheld from the General Assembly because they wanted a plan. So again, not about the individuals at all, just based on, I think, ethics in our government's important and the same rules need to apply. Liam Niemeyer from the Kentucky Lantern.
Hi, Governor. I wanted to ask just about lease terminations with the Department of Government Efficiency at the federal level, specifically with MSHA, the Mine Safety and Health Administration. Some advocates have raised concerns that lease terminations for MSHA offices in Kentucky, could potentially lead to less mine safety inspections, worried about the capacity of MSHA. I was wondering if you or anyone else in state government has heard about what the capacity is at MSHA regarding DOGE, and just your thoughts on lease termination specifically within MSHA in Kentucky.
So to my knowledge, we haven't had any federal agency reach out to confirm that those offices are closing. But let me say, I have concerns about the capacity of any agency from our federal government based on what Elon Musk is doing right now. He's firing tens of thousands of hardworking federal employees, and they're getting a letter saying it's because of their poor performance. That's a lie. It's wrong, and it disrespects some people that chose civil service for their life, many of them veterans trying to continue that service. And what it could mean for MSHA is put aside whether or not you need an office in a different location. Are there enough people there to carry out the duties of that office? And then you got somebody in DC who's never been to Kentucky. He's never been to Appalachia. He doesn't know how long it takes to get from one part to another. It reminds me when Matt Bevin just looked at a map and started closing different unemployment offices and had no idea how long it would take for somebody from one community to drive to another and how that impacted us during the pandemic. Think about this. If Social Security offices are closing, which those are on the list, some in Appalachia and some elsewhere, and then that rumored memo that's supposedly out there that says they want to cut the call-in center for questions on Social Security, then some of our oldest Kentuckians, who are living on a fixed income, who don't have the resources to travel, have to travel hours to get basic questions answered. Why? Because they don't want them to do it and they want to be able to kick them off. It's not right. These are people who qualify, and the federal government has an obligation to have enough offices, call-in, or other resources to ultimately process the applications that are out there and answer the questions that people have. My concern is that what Elon Musk is trying to do is break government, not fix it. Listen, I think we can admit that people all across the political spectrum have some issues with our federal government. But the answer to that isn't breaking it, isn't destroying it. It's actually fixing it. It's trying to sit down with others at the table and trying to hammer out different ways we can do these things better. Can we do things better? Yes. Should we always strive to do things better? Yes. But the idea that we would just indiscriminately fire tens of thousands of people in areas that the American people depend on, says that you're not really looking out for the American people and you don't necessarily care who gets hurt. So that's how I feel. And I know that there's a lot of now unemployed, hardworking former federal employees that have been deeply hurt. And in my opinion, they've been deeply wronged. All right, we will be back next week on our regular day, Thursday, for our Team Kentucky update. Thank y'all.